And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Today we have a great guest with us. He goes by your favorite Indian, Dougie Hall, which is kind of that pop that you have at the beginning of every episode. I found you on TikTok, on every TikTok you post, and I know you do it on Instagram as well. You're a rancher, Bronc Rider, and kind of a motivational guy, right? You're helping other people kind of reach out for their dreams and do things that make them feel better and happy.
Yeah, I figured, I don't know, I feel like um, God put us here, I mean, not only to chase our own dreams, but to help each other, you know what I mean? And I think that when you, when you help other people and you give away what you know right here and right here in your heart, then that's the only way you keep it is by giving it away. So that's what I try to do.
And you've been through a lot. Can you tell us a little bit, give us kind of like a brief synopsis of what's gone on in the beginning of your life to where you are now?
Yeah. Well, I grew up here on the Blackfeet Reservation in Browning, Montana, and I think it's kind of cool. You grow up on a reservation. You're blessed in a way because you either grow up horseback or you grow up with a basketball in your hands. And I grew up horseback. I wasn't very athletic or anything, but I always found um, my my good spot, my safe spot was horses, and so that's where I always turned to was the horses for I guess they were my happy place. They were my good place. And I grew up. My dad and uncle had an Indian relay team. I don't know if you've ever seen Indian. You know what Indian relay is?
Um, Kind of. I know that they have. So I'm in Boise, Idaho. I grew up in Ontario, Oregon. I think
Oh,
it's probably a little different, but they had the suicide race, which is a little different than. No, I haven't. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Indian relay race.
oh, okay. Well, my dad and uncle they had an Indian relay team, and what it is, it's a race of there's several teams out on the track, and what they do is it's a shoot, how many is it? It's a four-man team, and they got three horses per team, and you got a rider, a mugger, and two holders. So what you do is the rider he runs around the track as fast as he can go, and when he gets back to where they started, he jumps off of that horse bareback, and he jumps onto the next one, and all the way until you're done. Whatever team's done first is the team that wins.
Okay.
And my dad and uncle had a team, and that's what they did while I was growing up. And so every weekend when I was a little kid we went to all the fairs in Montana and northern Wyoming and Idaho and stuff like that. Just I was Indian relay brat, I guess you could call me. So every weekend was sugar and fast horses. And then as I got older, my uncle, he was a really great bucking horse rider and a saddle bronc rider. And I got to fall in love with that. And after I got introduced to that, see, we didn't have cows or anything when I was growing up. So I didn't really know how to be like a cowboy per se. I knew how to get on a horse and stay on it, but I didn't know how to do anything else really. And as I got older, I met some friends that had ranches, and they kind of taught me some things about how to be a cowboy. And then after I got a little bit older, I got introduced to my Uncle Mouse, and my Uncle Mouse, he was partnered with Flying Five and Big Ben for a really long time. And he's raised a lot of horses that went to the national finals, and horses at the national finals whose bloodline can be traced back to my uncle's herd. So I fell in love with the raising the bucking horses side of things too. And growing up, um, in my family, there's a lot of there's no other way to say it, so I'll just tell you the truth and I'll tell it fast. There's a lot of alcoholism, and when you're a kid and you're growing up and around alcoholism, you see and hear a lot of things that you shouldn't.
Right.
And I experienced that. And the way I took it was like, it looked fun. Don't get me wrong. It looked fun. It was like, how can you say it? Um, it was almost like a play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people that would be, um, and I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm just trying to tell the truth because I figure
Right.
that's the way, the only way it's gonna help somebody.
Well, it is a big problem on reservations, right? Alcoholism is kind of I mean, it's a big problem worldwide, but it seems to be like that's one of the things that is pretty prevalent in reservations, is it not?
Yeah, I don't, I'm not an expert on it. I guess the best way to say is I'm not an expert. I'm just a survivor.
Right.
And in my opinion, now this is just my opinion. It's not a fact or anything like that. It's just my opinion. Is that natives? We've only been, at least my tribe, the Blackfoot. We've only been in, um, how would you say it? This Western society, Western way of thinking. We didn't get introduced to Europeans until like the 1700s, I think.
Uh-huh.
I mean, at least like Americans and stuff. In the 1700s, what is that, like about 300 years ago?
Not too long.
So yeah, that's only like, uh, what is that, like three grandpas?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That's a good way to look at it. I never thought of it that way.
it's only three grandpas ago, and being introduced. That's when we got introduced to alcohol, and so our bodies, like, you look at it, our bodies can't digest it. I guess it can't. We're not used to it.
Right.
We don't know, our bodies can't handle it. I guess, for lack of a better term, they're allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different than, say, like things like sugar and starches, and things like white bread. Like, that's why natives, um, we can't digest things like that because we're used to a starvation diet.
Right.
We ate berries and lean meat from buffalo and elk and moose, and we ate roots. That was our diet. That was our diet for thousands of years. So that's what our body adapted to, was that starvation diet. Pretty soon, Europeans come and introduce these foods with heavy starches and sugars. That's why diabetes is a epidemic on reservations. Obesity and things like that, because um, our bodies aren't used to it.
It's amazing because I never really thought about it that way. I'm glad that you bring that up because you don't think that way, right? Like with European people, it's kind of the same thing, right? They've just been introduced to it forever, but you've been introduced to it for less time. Your bodies have never really adapted to the fact that this is the way that our dieting was. And you just see
Yeah.
it's very prevalent. They just dump all this stuff everywhere and it's just trash. It's not the things from the land that you need, that everyone, like back in the day, that's what you ate. Now we just have all this processed garbage. It's crazy.
Yeah, shooting. Um, yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Like, I look at it like, my Uncle Mouse always told me, people are no different than bucking horses. We're no different than horses in general. Like, uh, a horse is a horse, and a human being is a human being. But there are different breeds of horses, and different breeds of horses are, well, they're different. They're susceptible to different things, and they adapt to their environment.
Right.
um, that's the way I look at it. And so, like, when I grew up, um, I that's like I said, I got to see um, a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have seen. And, with, you know, people in my family being allergic to alcohol, it, what do they say? It takes away your inhibitions. That's why they call it spirits. It's like something's possessing you.
Right.
And, it's like, to me, it reminded me of like a play. Like everybody, what everybody saw in the public eye was somebody that was having fun, you know,
Right.
laughing and doing crazy things and making people laugh and dancing, having a ball, and but you don't see what's behind the curtain. You don't see what's putting that play on. Behind the curtain, there's uh, a lot of really sad stuff. There's little kids crying, a lot of destruction, a lot of broken homes, and nobody wants to talk about that.
Right.
And so anyway, and not just me, but there's a lot of kids that are just like me that experience that same kind of a thing. And I figured now that I'm older, I'm trying to be that person that I needed when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the way I see it is, uh, you can't do anything about the past. All you can do is you're not responsible for what happened back there, you know, before your time, but you're responsible for what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And so what I see is like all that stuff that like my ancestors got put through, and like they went through some pretty traumatic stuff, being taken from their homes, you know, a lot of stuff, when they were, I guess, I when they were trying to civilize natives,
Right.
a lot of really bad things happened, and um, those kids that those people that were kids at that time, they didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to cope with it. There wasn't no therapists. They just had a lot of really bad things happen to them. Then they got older. Well, how did they cope with it? Um, they didn't know how, and some of them, coped with it with alcohol.
Yeah. Medicated
And then,
themselves to kind of forget the past and have a way to deal with it.
yeah, and then they had kids, and then they had kids. And now you got me. You know what I mean?
Three
And
grandpas later.
yeah, three grandpas later, and then now you got me. And so I'm what I'm trying to do is just to understand that. You know what I mean? Because uh, as a society, we're like a child. A human being is a human being, and in our society, it's like a child. It stumbled a lot in the past. It made a
Right.
lot of mistakes, but now we're growing up, and society's a little more grown up now, and we're trying to we know better. Now we got to do better. Mistakes were made in the past. Now let's try to learn from them, and we'll try to heal.
Try not to repeat them.
Yeah, and we know what happened back there. Let's try to heal. Let's all get along and do
Yeah.
better today. And anyway, oh sorry, I think I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say you did so, and alcohol has kind of played a tough part of your life as well. You lost your mother to a drunk driver, correct?
Yeah, when I was 14, we were having dinner at a restaurant called Serrano's. It's a really good restaurant here in East Glacier Park. And I mean, it was a perfect evening. I was 14, and I had a couple cousins there with me, and um, it was just a really, really a good evening. Had a good dinner. We were getting in the truck, gonna head home, and we only live like 14 miles from East Glacier. And I got in the truck and I didn't put my seatbelt on. And my mom, she didn't drink or nothing. You couldn't ask for a kinder human being than my mom. I mean, she was a registered nurse at the community hospital here in Browning, and like whenever somebody brought their kid in to get shots, they always asked for my mom. You know, her name was Susan. They'd say, "Where's Susie? We want Susie," because she was so gentle.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, we get in the truck, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't put my seatbelt on, and my mom looked in the back, and she said, "Are you gonna put your seatbelt on?" And she gave me that mom look. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you got snapped by a bullwhip right between your eyes.
Right.
And she wasn't asking, she was telling me, "Put your damn seatbelt on." So I
Right.
did, and that saved my life right there. You know, we got in the truck and we started down the road, and like we're driving, and it was between 9:20 and 9:30. I remember in the evening, and I was sitting behind my dad, and I I remember my mom was singing a song by Martina McBride, "When God-Fearing Women Get the Blues," and she was because in a part of that song is that it says, "I got a Mustang, it'll do 80," because
Uh-huh.
my mom had a Mustang and she just loved the heck out of that car, and so she was singing and laughing, and all of a sudden I feel our truck swerve, and my older sister was up in the front between my parents, and I heard her yell no, and I peeked around the front seat and I looked, and there's a pair of headlights coming right at us, and I've never felt so helpless in my life. And
Yeah. No control over anything at that point.
yeah, there was nothing I could do, so I just sat back and we hit. And the only the only person that got killed in that wreck was my mother. And um and before that, like when I was a kid, like I told you about seeing the things and hearing the things that I did, my mom uh she I remember one time she made me promise her that I would never touch a drop of alcohol in my life. And I told her, "I promise you that." But in in reality, like I didn't make her that promise for her. You know, I it was a conscious decision on my part that I made for myself, just because I didn't want to, you know, like how I was saying, people are just like horses. You know, you you pass on traits. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like me, like I raise bucking horses, and I can tell you that, you know, the colt usually acts, you know, 90% of the time they act like the mare. They act like their mom, or they act, and when they buck like their, a lot of them buck like their dad. You know, um, you know, traits get passed on.
Yeah.
And so when I was a little kid and I made her that promise, I pretty much just made that promise to myself because I didn't want to carry that on.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want, um, you know, I didn't want um, my kids to have to see or hear those kinds of things.
Yeah. You're stopping the
And
pattern. You're breaking the chain and allowing it to go away, hopefully.
yeah, and so after that wreck, I it kind of just um, reinforced. It was almost like it reinforced my hatred for alcohol. Like I just pure hated it
Yeah.
because I never saw anything good come from it. All it's ever done was take from me, and you know, I never even touched the stuff.
Right.
Uh, but you know that old saying about hate, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, just hating it was, it was killing me. Just you know what I mean, just
Right.
hating it because uh, I was kind of a bitter human being for a while.
With good
And
reason. I mean, it took your mother away. Probably one of the, your mother and your father are like two of the biggest influences in your life. And if you're lucky enough to have both of them, I mean, I think people take that for granted all the time.
yeah, yeah, no, I um But I don't, now that I'm older, I've come to realize that I have no control over people, places, or things. You know, the only thing I can control in this world is me,
Right.
and I can control my attitude and I can control my effort, and you know, all I can do is all I can do.
Yeah, and how long? Because I'm assuming that after your mom passed away, you were probably pretty angry for a while. How long did it take you to kind of get out of that funk and realize that this was the way that it was? Like you could only control yourself and make things better for yourself based on what you do.
Shoot, I'm still learning that every morning.
Still tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a learning process. I mean, I spent my whole, I'm 41 and I think I spent probably the last 3 years it's been different for me. The thought process has been different. You read books, you start to like kind of get motivated by people, and that's what I liked about somehow some way TikTok knows this way to stick you with people who think the same way you do, and the little affirmations that you do, the videos that you do on a daily basis have just kind of helped me, and I hope that, and I know that they're helping other people because I look at how many people are viewing what you're saying. But it's one of those things where you surround yourself with people who think the same way and you end up kind of in that same group, right? And that's what I really like about TikTok is the fact that I'm able to see people like you, and there's a handful of other people. And when I saw you on there, I was like, I got to reach out to this guy. And I thought a couple times, I messaged you a couple times, but I know that like the way that Instagram works, and it won't let you DM, TikTok won't let you DM anyone that doesn't follow you back. And Instagram will, but you don't see it unless you kind of message them in the videos that they post. And that's how I got your attention.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. But so now, you're a Bronc rider and you're raising bucking horses. How is the rodeo scene going for
Yeah.
you, and what are you currently working on? I mean, I know that COVID probably took a little bit away from that, but are things
Mhm.
back on track with the rodeo and your horse business?
Yeah, yeah. They're back on track. I shoot, this last year was probably some of the most success I've had in my bronc riding career. You know, my riding really improved, and what I noticed is that uh, things will happen in your life, and you feel like your world's falling apart sometimes. Um, but what I noticed, to me, and this is gonna sound corny to some people, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's the way I feel.
Right.
Um, Creator or God, whatever you want to call him, I feel like he takes people out of your life, and sometimes he'll do something to take them out of your life because he heard conversation. I listen to Steve Harvey a lot, and that's who I got it from. Is he heard conversations you couldn't hear, and he saw things that you couldn't see, so he did what you wouldn't do. And
Right.
I feel like that happened to me. And when he takes those people and situations out of your life, he puts the right people and the right situations back into your life. But you got to have some skin in the game. I mean, you got to meet him halfway. Like
Right.
you got to hold up your end of the deal. I mean, it's okay to. My bronc riding coach Jake Kayworth, he told me, sometimes if you're in a hole and you got to lay down and cry for a little bit, that's okay. Lay down and cry for a little bit, but you better be thinking about getting back up, because if God woke you up this morning, he's not done with you yet. And
Yep.
that's one thing Steve Harvey said that really stuck with me. And because, there's a few times that my life could have been taken, but for some reason I'm still here, and um, I, I don't know what his plan is, but it's like this last year I was going through a hard time, and I I didn't know what to do or where to go. And my dad, he always said you got to get back to the basics. Well, what's the basics for everybody? shelter, food, and water. I was like, all right, I got shelter, I got food, I got water, but what's the basics that makes Dougie Dougie? What makes me me? Well, it's always been bucking horses. And so I thought, okay, I got to get back to the horses. And what I did was I just started getting back in shape. I started working out. And, because there was a point when I didn't even recognize myself when I looked in the mirror. I just looked sick. I was so stressed that like I was covered in acne. I just looked really unhealthy. I was overweight. So I started taking care of myself again. And then I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw videos um, of a ranch called Veeder Ranch. And so I looked it up, and there was this guy in California named George Veeder. And I looked him up, and I saw that he was 58 years old, and he didn't look 58. This guy looked like he was in his 30s. And very fit, looked like a bodybuilder. And he rode bucking horses, and he rode them really good. And he's 58 years old. And I see that there's all kinds of guys that are going to his ranch to get, to get practice. There's everybody from NFR caliber guys to high school kids. And in the videos, everybody's laughing and smiling and encouraging each other. And I thought, I need some of that. So I messaged George, and George was kind enough. He said, call me after the holidays. So I called him after the holidays, and he did some research on me, and he said, come down. So I did. I went down there, and I went down there twice actually to go and ride and hang out with those guys. And there's a guy by the name of Meng Lee. He's George's media guy. And Meng, he's got a production company called Makeline Productions. And Meng told me, he said, Doug, I was visiting with Lori O'Harver from Bronc Riding Nation, and your boy Chase Brooks. And Chase has been to the NFR about 4 times, I think, in the bronc riding. He said, and we all agree that you got a gift and you don't use it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when you talk, people listen, and you got a story to tell, and you don't use it. And I said, well, how do I use it? And he said, just start recording yourself and put it on social media. And I asked him, well, what do I say? He said, just talk from your mind and your heart. And I said, but man, sometimes my mind and my heart cuss. He said, say it anyway. Who cares? So that's what I started doing. And, it's like, what do people call that? Divine design?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I wouldn't have went through that hard time, it wouldn't have pushed me to desperation to find George Veeder on Facebook. It wouldn't have drove me to California to, have, to meet people that became my family.
Yeah.
And for Meng to tell me that.
It's interesting because people, like you talked about, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, there is something there. There is something there pushing you in the right direction. And you have this path, and you have those bumps that bump you off your path, right? And I always take them as, okay, I've got a lot going on, and why is this bumping me off my path? What am I doing? What am I doing that, is it time to take a little bit of break? Is it time to shift gears? Is it time to get back to the basics, like you said? And I just think that as you get older, you start to recognize that a little bit better, and you start to realize that those are signs that you need to make a little bit of a change. So I'm glad that you did find that. That's what most people don't realize, is that you have a goal that you want to set, and sometimes your goal doesn't line up with what it's supposed to be, and that's what those bumps are.
Yeah, for sure. I know it sounds corny, but when they say that everything that happens was meant to happen, but yeah. Shoot, I mean, every time something that's seemingly negative has happened to me, it's always led to something good. You just got to find a way to flip it. like what the heck is that saying? I can't remember if this is in the Bible or if I just heard somebody say it, but man's how is it? Man's something about like man's desperation is like God's opportunity or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like you, you need to be able to have all the disadvantages required for success.
Right.
You know, things will happen in your life, but like how we were talking about, people are just like horses. You know, in any kind of horse discipline, I don't care what it is, whether you're roping, riding a bucking horse, or racing on the track, or playing polo, whatever you're doing, you know, the number one goal that you want when you're uh, in some horse event or is forward motion. You want that horse going forward.
Right.
You know, I don't care if he's bucking out of his rear end, as long as he's going forward. You know, things are okay. And that's what my dad always told me ever since I was a little kid, and something I learned from my mother is just keep moving forward. You know, sometimes you're going really slow, sometimes you're crawling, but as long as you're going forward, everything's gonna everything's gonna be all right. You know.
Yeah,
And,
and that's I think the big thing. I think a lot of people, you have two choices, right? Quit or keep going. Whether it's hard or not, you keep going because I look at like mistakes like just a failure to complete the task the proper way, and then you take that mistake and you revamp it and you fix what you did before, and then you're going to be successful at some point. It's just it may take more than one or two times to be successful. If you have a goal, you need to just keep continuing to push forward towards that goal, no matter what.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's life's 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 crazy. And
Yeah.
um, shoot, I mean, you just got to let things roll off your back, and if you screw up, you know, realize what you did and um, do better.
Yep. Call
You know
that
what I mean?
audible
That's
and,
all we
and
can.
and shift your thinking.
Yeah,
So what do you have going on? I mean, I love the funny thing that I chuckle about in the beginning is when you start your videos, you talk about like if you like it, use it, and if you don't worry about it. I see you have one of your
yeah,
hats on right now that say "Don't worry about it" on it. What are you doing?
yeah,
You're riding horses right now. You're selling Broncs, and then you started kind of like a merch line, right?
yeah. I started doing some speaking events. I had a few I've done already, and I got some that are coming up. And other than that, you know, I'm raising bucking horses, and I got that going on. And I just started selling merchandise and stuff, and I've literally just become. Uh, I didn't even realize that I did, but I became an entrepreneur.
I think you always have been. I think you just didn't realize what an entrepreneur was.
Yeah, I
Seems
didn't
like,
know there
right?
was a word for it.
Yeah.
And I kind of just took like what my uncle Mouse. I talk about him a lot in my videos because
Uh-huh.
I didn't meet him until I got a little bit older, but he actually I met him when I was a little kid, I should say, but I didn't get close to him until I got older,
Uh-huh.
after my mom died. And one thing he taught me was that it's not selfish to be selfish. He taught me how to be my own man and to build something for myself, you know, because um, shoot, like we only got one life, and if you're not doing something that you love, you know, you better figure it out pretty quick, because if not, you're going to be somebody else's saddle horse. And
Yep.
you know, he taught me how to you know, he taught me how to work hard, and he taught me how to work hard and eventually become your own saddle horse is what he taught me, to be your own man. And I really appreciate him for that. And
Well, I think you can see it's pretty evident. Like I was, I know you from TikTok. I know you from Instagram. I started watching a couple of YouTube videos and watching a little bit of your riding. And I think that when you get off that horse, you can totally tell that you are in the moment and you love what you're doing, because it's almost like you're just getting off that horse and you're celebrating because you just had a great ride, no matter what it was, and you were happy with what you're doing. So I think it's evident in what you're doing.
thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, I figure, like, when that wreck happened, I realized how short life can be. I watched my life flash before my eyes, and I thought, life's too short um, to not have fun. You know what I mean? And life's too short to, the moments when you're feeling, that life just pumping through your veins, and you're excited, you're scared, you're full of joy. You're full of all these different emotions, and it's all good. You know, uh, in native culture, we call that good medicine. And in a way, this is the way somebody explained it to me, and I agree with them. Is you got to let them spirits know how you're feeling. So usually, native, when they're feeling all wound up and they're feeling all that good medicine, they'll war hoop, let out a war cry. You know what I mean? To just let the universe know that, like, thank you, and you're feeling good.
Yep.
And when you do that, it excites everybody around you, and everybody else starts, feeling it, and it's like a positive virus. It just spreads.
Right. It's a good COVID.
Yeah.
One that makes you feel better, right?
Yeah, it's like, because I feel like everybody packs stuff with them that doesn't even belong to them.
Right.
Stuff that happened years ago, or something somebody might have done, or something they might have did, and they're feeling guilty about it. But I figure Creator knew we were all gonna screw up before he even made us.
Exactly.
And when you're feeling that, what's that?
It's pretty evident in the Bible that he realized that we were going to screw up, because he had to rewrite some things to make it work out in our behalf.
Yeah, so like, when you're feeling that, that good medicine, things like that, and you like me, like, after, if I make a good ride, and I do my Indian dance afterwards, um it's because I'm feeling good, and there's a lot of good medicine there, and it's something that makes me happy. And when I notice, when I do it, the people that are watching, they it's like they're packing luggage, and when I do that, they set their luggage down.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a minute.
Yeah. It's contagious, for sure.
Yeah,
So if people want to buy your merch, if they want to follow you, if they want to find you, where's the best place? Where are you most active on? Kind of tell us where your social media is and stuff like that. And
okay. I got a page on Facebook. It's called Dancin Dougie Hall, and then my TikTok is just Dougie Hall, all one word. I'm pretty sure. And my Instagram is Dougie Fresh Hall, all one word. And I got a YouTube that's I think it's called Dancin with Dougie Hall, is what I call that. That's what it's called. It's Dancin with Dougie Hall. And I think those are the only social medias I got. I remember I got a Twitter, but I don't really get on it.
yeah, it's kind of, I'm the same way with that. It's not one of the ones that I use a lot. And you have merch links in the bio for all that, to get your hats and your shirts and things like that, right?
Yeah, I do. I got the link is in my bio, and if you look at my video, sometimes I'll put it in, like, the what do you call, the caption of my videos, and it's Dougie dash hall.myshopify.com.
Okay. And I'm going to make sure that I put this in the show notes when I do on the regular podcast too, so people can find you and get your stuff. So we have one last question that I always ask. The show's called Shaping Success, and I think I kind of briefly told you that, but I think that success is different for everyone. I think that, what I deem success is different than what you deem success, and your definition, how would you define success for yourself at the end of the day?
I think it's just being better than that person you were yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I noticed that the times when I screw up, I'm reading a book right now called With Winning in Mind. It's by Lanny Basham, I think is how you say it.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, he said some things in there that really resonated with me. And I noticed that whenever I was the most successful is when I was focusing on performing my best. I wasn't focused on winning. I wasn't focused on a buckle. I wasn't focused on, 10 years down the road or 10 years behind me. I was focused on right here, right now, the process. I was focused on having fun and putting out my best effort, and in fact, the year that I made the college national finals in the saddle bronc ride, and I never once looked at the points. I never once looked at the standings. I never once looked at money won. And I remember before I was getting on my horse in the Big Sky Regional finals, it was the short round, and I was just getting ready to get on my bronc, and one of my buddies walked up behind me, and he said, "Go punch your ticket." And I looked at him, and I thought, like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? And anyway, I just went out there and I did my thing. I just went out there. I had fun. I put out the best effort that I could put out. I just performed my best and I had fun. And that horse bucked me off like right after the whistle. And I remember I stood up and the announcer said, "He just did it. He just punched his ticket to the college national finals rodeo." And I just started crying because I didn't even know that I was in,
Contention.
in contention for that. I didn't pay attention. Everybody else did. But one of my heroes in bronc riding too, his name's Billy Etbauer. To me, Billy Etbauer's, if not the greatest, one of the greatest bronc riders that have ever lived. And I was listening to one of his interviews on YouTube, and he said, "I don't look at the points, and I don't talk about the points, and I don't talk to anybody that talks to me about the points." And I think that's the best way to be, because at the end of the day, you still got to do what you got to do, no matter what, any of that says. A horse can't read a resume.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I think that, thinking about that, I've read a lot of books, and it seems like they always go back to sports books, but the fact of the matter is that the score does take care of itself. If you do everything that you possibly can to be the best that you can, in the end, you have nothing to feel bad about. You win or you lose, but you gave it everything you had.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Well, Dougie, it's been great having you on here, and I look forward to watching you in the future. I hope that at some point you might be in a rodeo near me at some point, and I'll see you ride. It'd be super cool to see that happen.
Yeah, for sure. I go down in your area a few times here and there.
Yep, I know that there's like the Snake River Stampede's a big one, but then there's also the Caldwell Night Rodeo, and I think there's one more. But yeah, let me know. It'd be great to see you. That saddle bronc ride. It's not. Are you saddle bronc or is it bareback?
Yeah, I ride saddle bronc horses.
Saddle bronc. Okay, so anyway, either way, they're both crazy. Like I don't know how you stay on that horse. Those things, that's wild. But it's you got to do it. It's a art. So I look forward to seeing that happen. But thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today. I know you probably got a lot going on, and I really appreciate you sharing your story with my audience.
You bet. Thank you. I appreciate you, Wes.
Yep. All right. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Shaping Success. Until next time, I challenge you to do just that and find it. Find the shape of your success. Have a great day.